Hello, welcome to natemareflix. I am Nate. You are you. We have made it to 2022. I'm sorry I've been away for the last couple weeks. Just the end of 2021 got slam-packed, crazy busy, as I'm sure it does for a lot of us during the holiday season. But we got a new year, y'all. And I've already done my list of the most anticipated horror movies of 2022. Go ahead and check that video out if you have not. I think you will have fun. But since it's the new year, we got to have our resolutions. And one of my resolutions this year is to get the channel to 1,000 subscribers. We are within range, y'all. We are so close. So if you want to do me a solid, please go down there and hit subscribe right now. Let's go ahead and hit 1K in 2022. But before we can get into Scream, which is coming out next week, and I can't wait for it, we're about to ramp up. I'm about to put up all these Scream videos for you in the next week, and I can't wait for that. Before we can start doing that, we got to give a proper send-off to 2021. And so I was going to do a top 10 movies of 2021 and a top 10 worst movies of 2021, but it seems passe, it seems like everybody does that. I wasn't getting excited. I just feel like it's overdone. I've done that video before. I want to look at the year differently when I talk about the year that was in the horror genre. So instead, I got a bunch of different categories I've come up with, and I'm going to give you the best and worst for each category. So without further ado, here we go. All right, first category, let's start with before you can even begin to roll. Let's talk about the idea. Let's talk about before you even put pen to paper. Let's talk about your concept, your conceit, that thing that drove you to want to create a story. What did it the best? What did it the worst? For me, the best concept of any horror movie in 2021 came compliments of there's someone inside your house. If you haven't seen this movie, it is a slasher movie. And with every slasher, you gotta have your own gimmick. You gotta set yourself apart from all the other stab 'em ups. And this movie did that well with a concept that's kind of twofold. Up front, the killer 3D prints and renders a face that looks like your face. So his mask looks like your face. Can you imagine being stalked and slashed at by somebody who looks like you? That is like existential terror. That's some psychological shiznit, and it would be terrifying. It's also wholly original and fun as all get out. But on top of that, once this guy's killed you, yeah, you suffered your mortal fate. You know, you have your physical death, but you're gonna suffer another death, a second death. This killer gets you twice over because he's gonna stab you or whatever, and yeah, you're gonna die like every other slasher villain. But you're also going to die in the court of public opinion because he's about to put you on blast. That is right. This killer knows your deepest, darkest, ugliest, most heinous secret, and he's going to put it out there for everybody online. All your friends and family, your loved ones, your classmates, all those people are about to know the absolute worst thing about you. So you're going to die. Everyone's going to go to your funeral, and then they're going to be like, you know, that guy kind of sucked anyway. I thought I liked him, but he's an awful dude. So you're dying a physical death, and then you're also dying when it comes to your reputation and your legacy. And I thought that that was fantastic. Now, the absolute worst concept of 2021 that I wanted to touch with a 100-foot pole if I was a screenwriter had to do with a movie called Stay Out of the Attic. And in this movie, Dr. Mengele is still alive and kicking. If you don't know that name, Dr. Mengele was a real-life Nazi doctor who did all sorts of inhumane, unethical experiments on his Jewish prisoners. And luckily, he is dead. In this movie, though, that was all hoax. He didn't actually die. They got the wrong person. He's still kicking around, and he's hiding in the American suburbs, and he's doing these experiments still in his attic, even though he's over 100 years old. How is he still kicking around? How does he have the vitality to do this type of thing? Well, it's because he's unlocked the key to eternal life, immortality. And how did he get it? Eugenics. That's right. In this movie, it's being asserted that the white man has oppressed and tormented and tortured the minority group so badly that they have had this selective adaptation. They've sort of evolved. There are strands inside their eyeballs that if you extract them and formulate it properly, you can now be immortal. I don't like that. I don't like it at all. All right, we're talking the horror genre, so we got to have great big bad. So what horror movie had the best big bad of 2021? Why? It's Halloween Kills. Yes, I had some issues with the movie, but you can't really get better than The Shape. Michael Myers, especially not as portrayed by James Jude Courtney, who I think after 2 outings has now submitted himself as the best Michael Myers actor. He brought the brutality, he brought the presence. He was fantastic in this movie, and without a doubt, the best part of the movie. I mean, everything else in Halloween Kills, and you got into your protagonist, or you got into your little Haddonfield folks, and you saw the dumb decisions, you heard the cringy dialogue, all it made you want was more Michael Myers. Even though we got bunches and bunches of Michael Myers in this movie, just could not get enough. So that's without a doubt my best villain of 2021. Now, my worst villain comes from a movie called Superhost. Superhost is a movie about these YouTube vloggers that go to an Airbnb that seems all luxurious, but wouldn't you know it, the host isn't what she seems. She's got seedy ulterior motives. She is a murderer, which seems like a very obvious kind of plot conceit. That seems like something people would worry about in modernity, but they don't really do anything fascinating with it. And the way this character is written and portrayed is just cringe-inducing, make you want to roll your eyes, make you want to just rage quit the movie. She is awful. Think about the worst SNL skit you've ever seen, the one that just really bugged you the most, and then think about which character in that skit was the worst. And now imagine they gave that character a 90-minute long horror movie that she was at the heart of. She's not terrifying, she's not masterminding, she's not clever, she's not funny, she's none of it. She's just hammy, over the top, and you want to punch her in the face. Clearly, if you're going to talk about the best bad guy and the worst bad guy, you got to talk about the best good guy, the worst good guy. So let's do that. Best good guy of 2021 is actually the best good girl or good woman, and it is Jen from Wrong Turn. I love what they did with this character. She starts off the movie just annoyingly naive and innocent, and oh shucks, the world is a beautiful, wonderful place. Sunshine and rainbows. Everything's black and white. I'm going to virtue signal to you as long as the day is long. And by the end of the movie, she is no longer that person. She understands that there's a lot of gray to the world, and she has to make some nitty gritty, dark decisions. And she even has to kind of look at things and be like, you know what? Sometimes maybe you got to give up one life to save countless others. Maybe some people are beyond redeeming. Maybe I got to stick up for myself and stand up for my family. And I got to get down and become this really badass chick who's this survivalist who just goes for it. Very fun arc. Very, very fun arc. Love this transformation. Love this evolution that she undergoes. And the actress does a fantastic job as Jen. Was delighted to see that. Did not expect to see that come into a Wrong Turn movie. That's usually not the type of thing you get. You don't usually get a great character arc, but boy, did we get it with Jen. Worst hero? We're going back to Halloween Kills. I want to say Tommy Doyle. And now look, I know a lot of you are like, he's not even the main character, man. They're going to give him the worst hero, man. He's a side character, man. Well, because a lot of us Halloween fans were excited that we were bringing back all these legacy characters. Most of them weren't given jack shit to do. Unfortunately, Tommy Doyle was, and it was all revolting. It was horrible. I mean, some of the worst lines of the year. Every time he was on screen, I just wanted to pull my hair out because he's walking around sounding like some sort of washed up suburban dad who's just been on his couch watching action B movies for the past 20, 30, 40 years. So he's walking around the streets of Haddonfield with a bat being like, go home night, night, kissing on his back, just trying to be a tough guy and just constantly just making you want to just cringe right out of your skin. I was really let down by what they did with this character. I felt like they let the actor down. I felt like they let the fans down. And every time he was on screen, I wanted him the hell off of my screen, like I talked about earlier with wanting more Michael Myers. It was because we got a lot of stuff with characters like Tommy Doyle. All right, let's talk about the most underrated movie of 2021 and juxtapose it with the most overrated movie of 2021. Most underrated, I'm going with Don't Breathe 2. This movie got a lot of hate and actually kind of got review bombed right after the trailer came out. I understood that because I saw the trailer and I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? We're making that turkey based and blind son of a bitch a hero? How could you guys? I can't stomach that. How are you going to make me swallow that? Ugh, swallow after talking about that turkey baster scene. Anyway, I can't get on board with that. But luckily, that's not what they did. A lot of people see it that way. They think that they try to make this guy like have some sort of redemption, become a hero, and become this sort of anti-hero that you can root for and have a fond remembrance of. But that is not at all how I see things. I think if you actually sit down and take this movie in for what it is, he's a character that is beyond redeeming, and he would confess as much. He's somebody who sees himself as beyond salvation. He sees himself as a dirty, rotten scoundrel who needs to die. He hates himself for the choices in his life, and he's not looking for your approval or anyone else's. He himself does not approve of himself. And then everything within the movie is actually about this young girl he's caring after and making sure that she has a chance at life. And so that actually did work for me. And I won't spoil how it ends, but I think if you look at that, it makes sense. This was the most logical arc for things, and I was actually very happy to see it. And then within the actual movie, with the build-up and all the tension, so much tension, suspense in this movie, because I thought they did a great job of examining every scene, every moment, being like, how can we ramp up the peril and the possible danger? How can we just extract the most potential out of every little moment? And they did that. They're like, well, wouldn't it be bad if you were up against this? But how come, or what if you're up against that and then this was also happening and we introduced this element and there's like a ticking time bomb element also thrown in there? They give you all of that and it just makes this thing an absolute high octane joyride of a film. So it's getting too much hate if you ask me. For most overrated, this might be a hot take. I'm going to say A Quiet Place 2. And look, I liked A Quiet Place 2. I didn't love it. A lot of people seem to say that this is better than the first Quiet Place movie. I don't think so, because we've kind of already seen all the tricks that they have to offer. We kind of know all we need to know about this world, and I just felt like we were kind of recycling bits, but we didn't have that emotional core that we had in the first film with John Krasinski and his sacrifice. That was lacking here. I don't think we ever came close to reaching the same heights. I just felt like it was a really nice, well-executed film that was very, very solid. It had a very kick-ass, badass opening sequence, but from there, it was just kind of more of the same, and at times it felt a bit safe. So I will be excited for a third film, but I look to this one hopefully being the worst of this trilogy. All right, let's talk about our biggest surprise and our biggest letdown. Biggest surprise of the year, without a doubt. Malignant. Whether you loved or hated this movie, and you probably do fall in one of those areas, not a lot of people are in the middle on this movie. It's very, very polarizing. Does not matter. You were probably caught off guard by it. You were probably astounded and surprised by what we received from James Wan with Malignant. Because it didn't end up being anything like what we thought. It didn't look like the type of movie that was in the trailer at all. It looked like we were getting another James Wan, horror ghost type of supernatural film. And no, this was a campy, bizarre, over-the-top 80s video rental store type homaging movie that was just going for it and did not give a damn about your approval. This was just a creative filmmaker just wanting to just throw it all out there, just throw it all at the wall and see if any goddamn thing stuck to it. And so whether you loved it or you hated it, whether it worked for you or not, the movie surprised me, folks. No, for a surprise that was less than stellar and less than awesome. It's the biggest letdown of 2021, and it's Halloween Kills. And look, before you all start hitting dislike and get mad, as you have so often with all my other videos talking about Halloween Kills already, I gotta say, there is hope for this movie because I love the Halloween franchise so much, and so many of the movies have all these warts and all these issues, and over time, as a fanboy, you kind of develop this affinity for them, and all the bad things become sort of sweet little charms that you see them almost like they're your children. So ultimately, that is probably the fate of Halloween Kills, but I didn't think I was gonna have to do that. I didn't think I was gonna have to develop that type of love. I thought it would be automatic, love at first sight. I followed this movie ad nauseum. I did so many videos in the lead up to this film that I was just kind of a frenzied fan, and I thought this was going to be the best Halloween movie since the original, and it was not that in my approximation. I had a lot of issues, as I've already alluded to in this video. And so for it being my most anticipated movie of the year, and for it to be a movie that would not have been in my top 5 or top 10 films of the year, that makes it my biggest letdown. All right, guys, last category. Talk about biggest letdown. What was my biggest victory then? We're going to talk about the best film of 2021 now. And then, of course, we will segue into the worst film of 2021. But best, it is Edgar Wright's Last Night in Soho. To me, this was movie magic encapsulated. This was everything I want out of a cinematic experience. I mean, everything from the soundtrack to the cinematography to the direction to the acting to the way it blended genres to the way it blended eras. This thing was just a full body experience. I was grinning ear to ear at times. Other times I was clutching my seat. Other times I was tapping my foot. Other times I was turning my head to I was with my girlfriend who was in the same sort of amusing amazement. That's what this movie did for me. There was so much about it with the color palette. And like I talked about, the way it just immersed you in a different era. And you got all this glitz and you got all this glamour. But at the same time, you saw the seedy underbelly. You got all sorts of nice, amazing themes. This movie was thematically decadent. It's my best movie of 2021. I could ramble on, but we'll just wrap it up by saying that. But my worst movie of 2021, the worst experience I had in a movie theater, is without a doubt In the Earth. This is a pompous, pretentious, bore of a film. This was the hardest movie to sit through of all of last, because this movie thinks it is pure genius and it thinks it is way smarter than most folks out there. It has its themes and it goes for certain things, but just did not land with me or anybody else in the auditorium. Oh, I felt so bad because this was the first movie I went to go see in the theater with my girlfriend's parents because they wanted to support the channel. And like, there's a new horror movie coming out. It's got good reviews. Let's go see it. And wow. And so the reception was so bad. The director actually started including a little bit before the movie where he had to sit down and he was explaining that like, no, don't take this earnestly. Like, it's supposed to be like a joke. Be in on the joke. Like, I don't actually mean these things. I wasn't really going for this with my film. And if you have to do that, you have to put that out there because it's not coming across for a lot of audience, then you've already kind of lost it with your production and with your effort. And even with that in mind, like while watching it, I got it. I got that I was supposed to be laughing or supposed to be amused, and I just wasn't. The movie was a slog and it was just so up its own ass that I wanted to kick it in its ass. I could not stand this movie. I don't have any desire to ever rewatch this movie. The experience to me is kind of like having a bad acid trip in the forest while all you have to yourself is like a kaleidoscope to look through and this person walking through the woods with you who just wants to spout the most boring, self-righteous, blah, blah, blah bullshit about the environment and all else. Did not like the movie. It did not work for me. I like slow burns. I like pretentious movies at times. This was not one of them, though. This was my worst film of 2021. So there you go. Those are my best and worst for the year that was. Be sure to comment your ideas down below. Let me know what your best and worst were for each category. Let me know what movies you're most excited for in 2022. Go ahead and hit subscribe if you please would. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers, guys. We can do this. We can also have a great day. That's what I want you to do. So have a great day. Be sure to come back for more Nate Mareflix. Get ready for Scream, y'all. We're almost there. I'm Nate for Nate Mareflix, and that's a wrap.